Rolly Hoyt joining me. Tom Brannon, thank you for hanging out with us tonight as we visit about an impending winter storm, Rolly, that is heading our way.
It's going to get a little messy around here over the next couple of days. Thank you all for joining us here on the streaming platforms.
Before we begin, I just how was your day today? You missed the newscast.
Yeah, I was out getting some shooting done for a project we've got coming up in about a week or so. I saw Faith did a wonderful job, and you've been very busy, both you and Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan,
with what is coming here. I know everywhere we go today, everybody is wondering about timelines. The focus seems to be on this snow, slush, ice that could be coming our way, but there's plenty to come on the other side of Tuesday.
In fact, once we get through this wintry mess, I'm calling it the wintry mess for tomorrow into tomorrow night, it's going to get bitterly cold. So instead of the stuff melting away and going away, it's probably going to stick around for a little while. So that means the road crews are going to be out and about. They've probably already pre-treated the roads, but you and I have to deal with.
Well, I was going to say pre-treating will be okay. Because there's no rain ahead of this. It'll be there to handle what it's coming.
If there is, it'll be very little freezing rain and then sleet. We're expecting sleet, and then a transition to snow later tomorrow night. So with the major highways and interstates getting treated for those secondary roads and neighborhood roads, well, you and I depend on to, get to work. That's what's going to be the tricky nature of things.
So with that in mind, keep yourself safe. If you don't have to go out right now, the way the forecast is looking, don't do it. Try and stay safe. And I think a lot of schools, districts are really playing it by ear tomorrow. We've got early dismissals almost all over the board in terms of people wanting to get a day of school in. I think after what happened in January, there's a lot of school districts that are like, don't feel like going to school in June. And so there'll be plenty of people to head out onto the roads tomorrow morning. What's the time frame for when we need to have everybody back home?
Yeah, and I'll show you the time in just a moment, but generally speaking, for the central part of the state, it's going to be around noon, 1 o'clock tomorrow before we begin to see precipitation fall. And when it falls, it's probably going to keep going, a pretty good rate. Sleet could be heavy at times in parts of central Arkansas. Northern Arkansas, these northern couple of Three Rosa counties, expecting quite a bit of snowfall. So getting to it, there's a winter storm warning that's in effect for Tuesday. That covers those counties in pink. The counties in blue are under a winter weather advisory, but really even a few of those may be upgraded to a winter storm warning. It just depends on the amounts. Generally, a winter weather advisory indicates some lighter wintry precipitation is expected. You get into the 3 to 4 inch category. That's winter storm criteria.
And similar to a tornado warning and a tornado watch, a warning means we know it's coming.
A warning means it's imminent. Yeah.
And so a watch in this, or an advisory in this case, it could be coming.
Yeah, it's a low end. We're not expecting the impacts in southern Arkansas that we are in central and northern Arkansas. But as we have seen with recent events, even a little shift northward or southward is going to play havoc and could produce more or less precipitation. So the impact alert for north and central Arkansas: sleet, freezing rain here, transitioning to sleet, all snow pretty much north. And there will be some wintry precipitation over southern Arkansas, but you mentioned it. The dangerous cold is going to be returning tomorrow on the backside of this, and everything that falls tomorrow is more than likely going to become a sheet of ice. Yeah, and traveling to and from. Now, Rolly, you get the award for traveling the longest distance, I believe, because you come in from Hot Springs.
I do. We've got some folks who come down from Conway area, Searcy, and White County, and that sort of thing. So, and there are people who make those commutes all the time. I know from looking at the wires tonight, the folks at the state legislature are going to be making calls tomorrow morning as to whether or not they're going to be in session for the whole day and whether they'll be back on Wednesday. People, as we mentioned, the schools are keeping a close watch on where those lines change between what's on the ground. But based on what happened in January, and we'll talk about how cold it's going to get, but based on what happened in January, there was a case where it got really warm, but we had so much snow on the ground. It
took a few days.
It took a whole week of school for a lot of people. So it's safe to assume the same thing here. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, this was going to be a little different. Maybe not as much snow, but certainly ice, compiled with a lot of cold air. We may not reach above freezing until Friday. So with temperatures below freezing, even if you have a little sunshine during the day, some of that melts off, but then the refreeze occurs at night. So that's what buses and school officials are going to have to deal with, or school officials and their buses and folks traveling to school. Yeah, we don't want the kids out. We want to get them back as soon as we can. And we do have school closings. Maybe if you're following us, our THV11 Facebook page, there's a link there you can hit and follow that'll give you the school closings that are occurring now, and some are going to be letting out during the middle part of the day tomorrow.
And then trying to decide what to do with Wednesday after that. So I know my son is looking at a early dismissal of around 1, similar in Lake Hamilton on the other side of Garland County. At least Hot Springs is out of school today. They've got that extended calendar.
Yeah, kind of like a winter break.
Yeah, the Washington's birthday holiday kind of extended for an extra day for them down there. But check our digital platforms. We've got the latest cancellations and ideas for what they're thinking tomorrow and as we go further into the week. Now, looking at this though, I mean, I see a lot of snow. Are we going to see roads covered and grass covered, or what?
Yeah, I think you get beyond, let's say, Conway, Searcy, Russellville. These places still could pick up a few inches of snow, but the really heavy stuff over the northern part of the state, where they could pick up 6, 8, or more inches of snow. The coldest air is going to be here, and it's going to be falling at a rate that it's going to be very lightweight and fluffy. There's not as much water content here as there will be over southern Arkansas. So the ratio is, instead of a 10-to-1 normal and 10 inches of snow equal 1 inch of rain, it's going to be more like 15 or 20-to-1, which means it's a lightweight, fluffy snow that's going to blow all over the place. And if you get a foot of snow, you're going to have these huge snow drifts on the side.
Good for skiing in the Ozarks. I don't know how many ski trails are up there, but
in central Arkansas, a different kind of skiing, a different kind of sledding with the vehicles if you're out on it. It's mainly going to be sleet. Now the problem is that sleet, when it gets compacted down, you go after dark, when temperatures drop, it compacts into that sheet of ice that nobody wants to drive on. The good thing about sleet is it bounces off power lines. So you don't have to worry about as much of a power issue with that. Now, our forecast models, we like to showcase the models in terms of what they're looking at for percentages or for snow amounts. And so I'm going to run you through the different models that we look at. And the one consistent thing is that they've all put most of the heavy snow in northern Arkansas. The NAM, and you're getting into this 6 to 8, possibly more. Coming back, this latest update, it's putting back a whopping
more than
12
a foot?
to 15 inches of snow.
Wow.
Now, whether or not that happens or not remains to be seen. It could be the outlier. This is the European model. We love the European model. 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches. GFS puts a little bit more up toward the northern border. So we're beginning to see a bit of more of a consistent, there could be a lot more here over that northern rows of counties. Mountain Home, 12 to possibly 15. This is raw data. This isn't the forecast, but this is stuff we take into consideration when we build a forecast. The latest HER, also 12 to 15. But down into central Arkansas, it's more like 1 to 2 or 3. We're not expecting as much snow here, but we could still get 1 to 3 inches of sleet before we get the snow.
And if you're thinking of traveling up to family or friends up in Missouri, I can see all of that stuff. They look pretty certain to be getting buried for a healthy portion of tomorrow.
I think the sweet spot's going to be up there. Those higher elevations in the mountains are really going to get socked in. Right now, 6 to 10, that's a pretty safe bet. You go down a couple of rows, 4 to 8, 2 to 4 as far south as central Arkansas, trace to 2-inch amounts, and that's really how we generate the forecast. We take generally the average, and if there's an outlier that's kicking back 2 feet, we'll discount that one, kind of kick it out of the way.
Looking at the forecast notes that I know you guys watch way more closely than I do, and help me if I get the vocabulary
That's
wrong.
fine.
But we're talking about warm air aloft. Is that helping or hurting us in terms of the kind of weather we're going to get in central Arkansas?
Well, it does affect the type of weather. In fact, I'm going to turn the page here and talk about sleet, because we get that warm layer of air aloft, depending on the thickness of that warm layer, will determine the precipitation time. 30, well, you know what, here we go. First of all, sleet, 1 to 3 inches of sleet here, maybe a trace to an inch on the outer periphery of that. But how do you get that? That's where this next graphic comes into play.
Okay.
This is a great way
get
to,
out of the way.
Yeah, you might want to scoot over just a little bit here. I decided to sit this one out. I've been standing all day.
And you got a long couple
my
of days
dogs are
coming away.
barking. But anytime you've got an air mass that's below 32 degrees, it's going to be snow from top to bottom. It starts as a snowflake in the wintertime. It hits that warm layer. Depending on the thickness of that warm air, that will determine the precipitation time. Let's say it's just a very small layer of warm air. Got enough time to refreeze as a sleet pellet before hitting the ground. But if that warm layer is a little thicker, then it's going to be freezing rain. It'll be a raindrop, hits the sub-freezing surface, and it becomes freezing rain. That's what we don't want. And then top to bottom, it's rain if it's above 32. So there is a chance that we'll have a nose of warm air, but it doesn't look like it's very deep, and that's why we're expecting more sleet here. But southern Arkansas might flirt with a little freezing rain.
How much of a break do we get with the temperatures right now at freezing, a little bit above, and not really going into the deep freeze until after this comes over our heads?
When it starts precipitating tomorrow, we're going to be close to freezing. We're not going to climb anymore. In fact, we'll probably see temperatures slowly drop during the day as the system draws in the colder Arctic air.
So stuff on the grounds, it's not going to hold a lot of heat there that might melt stuff when it lands.
Right. I mean, if you woke up this morning and walked outside, your ground was frozen. So we know the ground is going to be cold enough to support, even though we made it into the 40s today. We'll drop off to near 30 tonight. Precipitation starts. Anything and everything that falls is probably going to adhere to something, whether it's trees or your shrubs, overpasses, bridges, roads. So that's why we're really concerned about this. It's going to get cold, going to stay cold. Pipe bursting cold is on the way. Let me pull this chair back. It's squeaking a little bit there.
So we're rooting for sleet, and then hopefully sleet you can move out of the way. It's not too thick. You don't want to go out there and pull donuts.
You can drive on it a little bit easier than just freezing rain.
Maybe get just enough of it off the road so that there's puddles on the side. I mean, that would be the ideal situation. We're not having to remove a whole lot of stuff that's piled up.
Yeah.
Hopefully clear this out, but there won't be much of a window before it's going to be back to a skating rink on a lot of surfaces.
I think what falls in northern Arkansas as snow has a better chance of staying on the ground through the early part of the week next week because they're going to be that much colder. Temperatures are going to drop back to near zero. Even below zero temperatures, wind chills well below zero. Even though we get sun, they were expecting sun to come out by Wednesday, Thursday. The sun will come out. Some of that's going to melt, but when the sun sets, it's once again a big old solid sheet of ice. Sleet versus freezing rain. Have you seen the little donut trick with that? With what sleet and freezing rain could be? If you go to a donut shop.
No, I haven't. Okay. Now I'm hungry.
Now you're hungry? Well, I had some donuts. I left them at home. So think about this: a glazed donut.
Sure.
Freezing rain. It's a glaze. Sleet. It's one of those little pink donuts with
the sprinkles.
With the sprinkles on top of it. Yeah. So sleet is a little ice pellet that bounce. Freezing rain is just rain. It adheres to surfaces below freezing.
It's going to be all over your hands. Sleet is going to be all over your car.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sticking with the donut analogy.
Yeah, there you go. Both of them would be all over your hands. So there's your freezing rain sleet analogy. This is the ice forecast. You get into trouble when you get 1/4 of an inch or more on power lines and tree limbs that could cause some damage. 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in the higher elevations of the Ouachitas. That does include Garland County. So they could have freezing rain, 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, and then get some sleet on top of that, and then some snow on top of that. A glaze of 5/100 of an inch for Conway, for Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Stuttgart, and may just see plain old rain down in the southeastern part of the state. Monticello, Drew County, Saturday night had a tornado warning, had the tornado warning that we had that kept us all kind of on alert, and now it's just back to rain. The roads are going to be terrible. There's really just no other way to describe. The roads are going to suck. They're not going to be good.
No FCC worries, I guess, on streaming.
No.
Anyway,
I think I can say that word on streaming. I wouldn't say it on live TV, but yeah, the roads are just going to be atrocious. And high impacts in the orange, that means you're going to have snow or ice. They're going to stay covered. I know that RDOT is out. They're treating the best they can, but you're still going to see a lot of roadways that are going to be impacted by this.
I didn't like that pink circle you had over West Central.
Yeah, that's over your house.
Yeah, and our friends in Montgomery County. And,
right.
Then you're worried about power lines and power being out for. We've had some significant ice storms here in the last 10 years, and it's the kind of thing that frustrates Entergy and all the power companies, and that nothing you can do about it. You just have to go back out there and string them back up again. You can trim the trees back as much as you want during the spring and summer, but when there gets to be a quarter-inch ice on them, they're just coming down.
I remember the ice storm in 99-2000 that really prompted crews to get out and carve those trees back, because that's what was happening. Trees had grown so much, and it was a big, major deal, and we haven't had anything in quite a while.
Knocking wood.
All those tree limbs came down to the power line. So one day you get rid of that stuff in the springtime, here come the tree crews. I mean, you're cutting trees down to nubbins and daring them to grow back. You really are. All right, so our next thing is the road temperatures and what it takes. Let's say it's 33, 32 degrees. It may be a little bit too warm for it to flash freeze, but when you start dropping off to 29, the roads really do become icy. Yeah, bridges and overpasses at 30, 31, those are going to go first. They're going to freeze up first, but then roadways themselves, especially if there's not a lot of traffic on them, 29 degrees is your magic number when things really start to get treacherous outside.
And you see the surface you've got under here. You can't tell if that's sleet that you might be able to ground down and have some traction on, then all of a sudden find a patch, and you're looking 180 degrees in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for hockey, maybe not for driving.
No.
You're a hockey fan. You like hockey.
This kind of conditions are no fun.
No fun either way. So the road impact forecast as we look forward, we're talking a lot about the roads because that's the one thing that people got to, we have this Interstate 40 situation. Trucks are always on 40. People are always trying to get from, here to there, and I just got to do it. I've got no choice. Well, the roads are going to be really, really terrible. Travel is not recommended on the interstates Tuesday evening through Wednesday. The main highways, travel is not recommended through Thursday. Side streets, very little improvement until possibly Saturday. Those are our neighborhood roads, and for me, it's my driveway. I'm not going to be able to get in or out of my driveway because of the sleet and the ice and the freezing rain.
And there's nothing we can really shovel to remove, and there might be a run on rock salt tonight.
There's none to be found. I'm glad you said that because I was looking for some late last week. I had made an order from one of the big box stores to have some delivered. Well, it busted in the box. They took it back, so I have none at the house. I've got just a little canister full that I'm going to have to stretch.
That kismet has to be why we're getting this storm, I think, right?
Yeah,
you try to
take
prepare,
this. Yeah. You try to prepare, and then that happens. So, okay, let's talk about the timing of this system and when it's going to begin impacting us. This is the latest HER information. It's our high resolution rapid refresh. We have this one, rapid refresh. We have this one, and we have what we call the graph. You've heard us talk about them by name before. This is tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We begin to see precipitation, according to the HER, develop and move into the northwestern part of the state. By the time we hit 1 o'clock, just looking at the darker blue color in northern Arkansas, that would indicate to me snow's really going to be coming down, heavy at times there. The pink or the magenta is the wintry mix, sleet, freezing rain by 1 o'clock over central Arkansas. And then we begin to see the rain develop over southern Arkansas, but during the afternoon, everyone becomes cold enough to see some type of wintry precipitation. And by 10 o'clock tomorrow night, system's still going, heavy snow falling here. We may have a burst of heavy snow over central Arkansas. It's not expected to last long, maybe an inch or two of snow. on top of the sleet. In southern Arkansas, we see these mottled colors here. This could be some thunderstorm activity, some thunder sleet or freezing rain. Again, the winter forecast is very fluid, and there will be some changes to what is being seen. And it's out of here by 6 o'clock Wednesday morning.
That quick moving nature of it, how much does that help us? Is it going to hold down accumulations? Is that what's?
That's what it would do. It would hold them down for us. But in northern Arkansas, well, they've got the right, the necessary means. It's already cold, and there's a boundary up here, a little stationary boundary. That boundary is going to be the focal point of some heavier snow totals, maybe some thunder snow. We could hear some thunder sleet here in Little Rock tomorrow.
We trust these forecasts. We trust your forecasts. What are the things that could change at this point, less than 24 hours out, that would maybe see some of these lines change?
Well, you see, this happened with the last storm. All indications were that the southern half of the state with the last storm would have the biggest impacts with heavy snow. The track of the system, a warm air layer coming into the mid-levels. Now, the difference between the two is that we just had enough cold air with the last system to dump a lot of snow on us, and then it warmed up after that. With this one, the cold air is catching up to it. So it is possible the cold air gets into central and southern Arkansas, and we see more sleet and snow than a freezing rain or sleet. So the track of the system, the speed of the cold air, those things can still happen. And, we could see frozen precipitation as far south as southern Arkansas, southeast Arkansas. We could see some, but not as much as that central third of the forecast area.
And again, whatever lands, if you're just joining us and you're joining us here on the streaming platforms, whatever lands is going to stay. So it's not like we're wishing for something that could maybe make this less of a mess. We're going to have to deal with the remnants of whatever falls on us tomorrow.
It could just fall apart.
Well, all right, we'll knock wood there.
Right. Well, if it would fall apart, it'd be great. I was hope casting, wish casting that some of the forecast models were indicating more rain. Well, guess what? Now so they catch up with one another. They start coming to agreement.
I'm going to keep pressing this. Maybe we'll get one of those to tune back up.
You're going to delete everything.
No, sorry.
That'll be fine too, right? So that's the timing. Okay, so breaking it down, the timing of it all, that squiggly line from 8 to noon, that's when we expect to see precipitation. And as far to the east of central Arkansas, noon to 6 certainly, and then after 8 over south Arkansas. So if you're going to get out and go find that rock salt, or in your case, if you're going to make that run on whatever Rolly wants to eat or drink, you want to do it bright and early tomorrow morning. Okay?
Gotcha. And then get here by noon, be hunkered down and ready to go.
Yeah, I think 1, 2 o'clock is going to be our sweet spot tomorrow. There will be some schools that try to push it to 3. Having been through a number of these events in the past, a lot of people let their guard down and they say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything until it starts precipitating. And then it's too late, because guess what? Everybody's waiting till the last minute, and you've got gridlock. I've seen this happen with big snow events before.
Same here.
Where it's coming, folks, and it's not going to start, and I remember this, it's not going to start light and pick up. It's going to come down heavy. Boom, came down heavy, and before you know it, we had 6, 7 inches of snow, and people are trying to get home, and it was just a nightmare. So we do the best we can to try to stay out in front of it without overdoing it, because what happens if nothing happens? They come at you. They come at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bottom line, Little Rock from 1 to 4 tomorrow, temperature around 32, start sleeting. Winter precipitation. Tuesday evening, we see the temperature drop, sleet mixes with snow, maybe turns to snow, roadways start to cover up. It gets awful out there overnight. Sleet changes to all snow before ending early Wednesday morning, and our temperature to start Wednesday is going to be about 20 degrees. So anything that falls is not going to go anywhere.
That's 6 a.m. Wednesday, and have I seen the advanced forecasts enough to know that we're talking about the coldest temperatures we've seen all year? This is after Wednesday, right?
I think so, yeah. And if you want to have a comparison, you remember this week back in 2021 that those two big snows?
I'll have to look at my Facebook. Yes,
those
snow
big snowstorms.
Sandwich,
Yes. It would be very similar to that, because it got cold after that as well. It was an Arctic outbreak, 2 big snows in 1 week. Not expecting near the amount of precipitation, but it could get cold. Cold weather advisory replaces a wind chill advisory. They're expecting temperatures to be around 5 or so below zero there in terms of the wind chill. And let me just show you some numbers here. Lows forecast. You mentioned after this precipitation moves out. Well, this is tomorrow morning. Will be about 30. Look how cold it is already in northern Arkansas. Wednesday morning, single digits and teens statewide. So the snow's not going anywhere. And when the skies clear out, we clear the skies, you've got snow on the ground, you're getting what's called a maximum radiational type of cooling. Any heat at all is reflected back into space, and that's what you get. Temperatures drop into the single digits, and look at Thursday morning, below zero in some places.
At least it's 11. That's our favorite number.
11 in Arkadelphia, the Queen Hot Springs, 12 here. In Little Rock, and then Friday morning is the last really cold morning. We'll keep this weather impact alert all the way through Friday. By Saturday, it starts to feel a little more reasonable, although temperatures will still be in the teens, at least the lows. Those were wind chills that we were talking about. These are your low temperatures.
Okay.
We've skipped over. No, we haven't. We haven't gotten there yet, have we? They're the wind chills. Okay, all right. So tomorrow morning, the wind chill.
I'm back to being scared again.
I was like, what happened? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's my bad. Didn't mean to scare you. Wind chill values, I'm just going to run through this. It's going to feel below zero by Wednesday morning, as much as 10 below zero. Teens to near 20 below zero up in Harrison. And then it begins to get a little better. The wind backs off. Not nearly as cold of a feel, but we've got the impact alert all the way through Friday. High temperatures in Little Rock, only in the 20s to low 30s. Hey, this is going to be like summertime.
Look at that.
Yeah. Nice forecast is on the way for your weekend. Very small chance of precipitation coming up on Sunday.
Be very interesting. I know there's the major horse race coming up at Oaklawn on Saturday is the Rebel Stakes, one of their big Kentucky Derby preps. And so a lot of people will be looking at this, trying to decide on travel, whether to come for that. There's also, we were seeing those ridiculous numbers up in northwest Arkansas. So sporting events for the Razorbacks have to have a lot of people questioning. We heard Tyler mention in the early shows about different sporting events for different schools. You're going to need to check on all of that as we go later into the week. The cold will be there. Not so much worried about travel getting out of here, like flying or anything like that. It's just going to be really cold.
I think if you can get to the airport Wednesday, Thursday with the skies clearing out, it's a matter of getting there. They should be running planes out of the national airport. A little bit different though when you're running ponies in this kind of cold
or baseball
weather,
or baseball.
Ooh, aluminum bats in this cold sting like the dickens. It's a good thing they probably will use wooden bats in some of those. So I'm looking forward to next week. We do get a period of time where it's going to be drier and it will be warming up, and then it'll all be a memory, and hopefully this is working us through the last part of February heading into March. Now, I will say this, you get out of one and you head into the other, severe weather season, that's not going to be far behind.
Well, we will focus on what's in front of us.
So we have a couple of minutes left. I do want to mention that school closings, again, our website, for those of you that are wanting to know if your school is closed, we want to send you there for that information. And we'll keep updating Facebook on the latest weather. I'm expecting an update tonight at around 9:30 from some of our forecast models and what they're seeing, if it's going to be colder, if we're going to have more precipitation, or if we're going to have less.
We'll wait for those updates. We've also got our reporters out and about tonight getting you an idea of what are things like at the hardware store. What do you need to know about protecting your pipes? What has the state done to get ready, the state government, and will they be in action tomorrow? Some very important things going on at the state legislature right now, which could all go on hold depending on how many people can get to and from Little Rock and up to places like Mountain Home over the next couple of days. So that is all ahead of us on our over-the-air platforms coming up tonight at 10 Central Time. And if this will live on our digital platforms, you'll be able to get recordings of these little sessions that we're having.
Yeah, I like that. They're little sessions. We just kick back. Rolly's not wearing a tie right now, but at 10 o'clock he'll have a tie.
I promise.
I'm wearing one now. It's just a little loose around the neck. We'll do this again tomorrow at 2:30 in the afternoon, maybe a little sooner depending on when this precipitation arrives. We'll probably do another session tomorrow night so that we can update folks about what's happening. We'll be tomorrow night at this time. We'll have it falling.
And I know the morning crews, they'll have a lot of eyeballs on them for an idea. Like I said, a lot of school districts are planning to try and get that day in so that they're not making up so many at the end of their school year. So a lot of people will be hinging on what they hear tomorrow morning. So between our forecast tonight and tomorrow morning, a lot riding on them. You want to keep your digital platforms open with us and keep checking us over the air.
Hey, by the way, we're on THV 11 Plus. It's a free app download for your television. We've got, the app for the phone, and you can actually watch us from your phone. But if you have access to Roku, Apple, Amazon, it's a free download, and you can stream us and watch all of this weather and stuff that we're providing for you for tonight.
And keep fingers crossed that the power stays on for many people. We'll be keeping in touch with the major utility companies throughout central Arkansas and the state as we batten down the hatches and prepare for what's headed this way.
We'll do this again at 10 o'clock.
Yes, we will.
All right. Everyone have a great evening. For Rolly Hoyt, I'm Tom Brannon. We'll see you at 10.
Take care.